Welcome back to Jacque Carter, A New Frontier. I'm your host, Richard Creeger. President Carter says some of the problems Doane is faced with in the years to come will have to do with diversity, technology, and the rising cost of tuition. President Carter, what steps will you take to solve these problems?
You know, one step will be in our fundraising efforts going forward, that we be more deliberate in raising money specifically for scholarships. And in other words, we have an endowment. An endowment is a set of money that you do not touch. It's like the grain in your elevator, you know, to get you through the winter. And so we need to take a part of that endowment and identify it and seek people that are our supporters who want to put money into that will provide scholarship support in a way that's renewable. If you get scholarship support from a company or from a town or from wherever that is for that year, then you got to go beat the bushes to find more of it the next year. But if you get a large gift of money that is from someone who doesn't want you to spend the principal but wants you to use the interest every year, then it renews itself every year. And so that's, you know, that's one way to address the cost. Another thing is, in order to increase the number of faculty so you can have more offerings in the upper division courses, you know, when your juniors and seniors not have as many courses taught by one professor, we need to grow the enrollment. We need to be larger than we are right now. We're at about 1,000 students, a little over 1,000 students. That is too small. And some people misunderstand this desire to and need to grow the enrollment as a way to bring in more revenue. It does do that, and there are some economies of scale that you don't have to double everything if you double your size. But the real reason for doing it has to do with being able to provide the diversity in your academic programming itself that you can't do right now because you just don't have enough professors to do that with. The diversity of the community itself of students is low, and you can't build and improve that unless you bring in some more students. And so there are real advantages in terms of getting above that 1,000 student mark. And there is always a fear that if you go bigger than you are now, that you'll lose that personal connection with your friends and your teachers. But research and data tell us that that's not true, because the best national liberal arts schools in the country are all bigger than us. And they have even better student-faculty teaching ratios, even better study abroad programs. They're better and stronger in many metrics because they have a larger student body in part. So, growth is one of the areas that we would steps that we would want to take.
I know you're looking at getting it to 15,000 in about 5 years. 1,500, excuse me, and then 2,000 by 2022. Do you think with tuition numbers going up, are you looking to expand new residence halls, new buildings, basically expand the campus as a whole?
In places, yes. In other places, no. And in some places, in ways that we might not imagine. In places where you would need to increase your square footage would be, for example, in dining, in the food services. You're tight now in terms of the space over in the campus center. So we know we might want to improve that. I think it would be helpful to have more space in the campus center to begin to co-locate and aggregate offices that now are either in tiny closets or in small rooms or too crowded, like multicultural offices. And study, right now your study abroad and other programs are over here, but in a lot of colleges, they organize student government and international programs and all the centralized services for students in one facility. And you don't have room to put all of that over there. So I think a logical thing that will come out of the master plan will be a recommendation to show how we can expand the footprint of Perry. I may go over onto to Butler where the old tennis courts are, and maybe a bridge to it or something, but something needs to be added on to that area. I don't think there's enough room in our communications building for the music program. And it's confusing anyway because we call it communications, and There's a library and music, I mean, and a theater. So people get confused when they come on campus because it's got the wrong name on it for what's in it. So we should fix those kinds of things. Clearly we need to examine, I think, all of our academic programs. Some of them actually need more space. Some need more resources. The sciences have a great building, the lead science building. But what they need is more experiential learning opportunities for their students in terms of research opportunities. And so that will require finding partnerships in the community, in research laboratories and in hospitals and with other universities, research labs that we can partner with, like UNL. But it also will require relooking at the way that the faculty there are teaching so that they have the support they need for student research in the junior, senior year. That doesn't require as much space as it requires a way to rethink time. I think the important message is that as we grow is that our arboretum and our 300 acres of green here needs to not only be protected, but we need to make it even better. So we have to be very careful in our master plan when we do identify new space for a campus center, new space for, and maybe add on for, as I was mentioning, the footprint for a pool, things of that nature, that we do these things in places that concentrate the concrete and brick and steel around a core footprint, like close together. So you leave the surrounding areas bucolic and green and inviting to go walk in and that type of thing. We have a lot of land here. You can take the land that you have and you can put more on it without destroying its beauty if you are careful where you put things. If you're going to put something on a place, you surgically put it on that side and leave all the trees around it. That's what I'm used to doing in terms of architecture and landscaping. So that's what we would do here. Now the resident halls are obviously the big elephant in the room, because if more students come, where will they live? And we are, we're not full in the resident halls, although close to that. We have several singles, 40 to 50 single rooms. Some of them need to be there because the students in them have very good reasons for having singles. But others, they don't have to be singles, they could be doubles, and we could let a kid come here from as far away as Colorado and share that room with a kid from Nebraska. So we should look at that before we build any more dorms. But even if we do build, and we will have to build some additional ones, we can also look around our community here in Crete, close by, and see would there be any areas for housing there that would be co-located close to campus that seniors might want to live in. That would be more apartment style. If you look at Hastings, they have they have these resident facilities for students that are more apartment-like, and I think some of our students would actually want to do that. That wouldn't take you off campus; it just puts you next to campus core, so you don't have to build a bunch of resident halls right on top of each other. And that leaves these here that we have to be used in different ways for different. For leadership over in Hanson, the Smith Hall could be for something different, maybe, who knows, for students, but you begin to think differently. So I would expect that we would probably have to build some new resident halls on campus, but we would take a real serious look at partnering and doing something with the community in town here to build student housing so we wouldn't have everybody on the site itself. So I was attracted to come here. Recognizing that the geography was different, the industries and economies different, but the college and the whole purpose of undergraduate education, where the teacher knows your name, where you know your classmates, where you can sift through the different ideas from scientific to philosophical, are the same here as they are at any schools that you may be familiar with nationally. So it was an opportunity to come here and help Doane in a coming out party to bring forth Doane into the national scene, so that we too can stand with these other schools, because we do what they do just as well and better in many regards.
So is that was the liberal arts your main attraction to coming here, or what are some other things that really led you to Doane and inspired you to become, to choose to become president here?
Well, in my interview, it's like picking out a college when you're an undergraduate and you're 18 years old from high school. a lot of it is fit, right? You go visit these campuses, and what do the students look like? Do they look like me? Do they share my values? It's the same thing when you're a president-to-be and looking at colleges where you may want to be. Did I feel when I met the faculty and the students that they shared my values, that they would be excited about the vision that I would want to not necessarily bring but liberate? It's already here. And I felt that. So when I met in the interview with the faculty and the students, I felt a connection and a fit. So that was a main deciding factor coming here. And I also grew up in the Midwest, and I had corn, soybeans in my backyard growing up. So I just instinctively understand the landscape here. But yet I've lived in the Caribbean, and I've been all over the world. I'd like to say, like the Johnny Cash song, I've been everywhere, man. And so I'm trying to bring to the campus here that opportunity to let you all have the same opportunity I had to go everywhere, and to do things and experience life. This is seemed like the right place to.
If we are to add more students and the numbers do rise, what does that mean for tuition?
Tuition will rise and fall independent of the enrollment. It has a better chance of holding our cost if we're bigger than if we stay small. If you've got 1,000 students and your electric bill is $100, or let's say your electric bill is $10,000, and you got to divide it among the revenue of 1,000 students paying tuition, and that goes up, then you got each year, then the 1,000 students have an additional expense in terms of the cost of the electricity. But if you add students and they don't use more electricity, they just have more seats in the room, and they're using the campus like you are, then you have to divide it by more people, and the cost can be held from increasing as quickly, or it can be held flat in certain areas. So the increase in students doesn't relate to the rising cost of tuition. The rising cost of tuition relates to the direct costs that are associated with with paying your bills for your faculty salaries, and for your heat, for the cameras that are filming this interview, those types of things. You could have 50 more students enrolled right now, and those cameras will serve them just as well as they do the 1,000 that are here. And 1,050 would do, you wouldn't have to buy more cameras. But they could help you pay a little bit, those extra 50 for the camera that you're using today.
What would this mean if numbers do rise for scholarships being handed out? Would there be more scholarships being handed out? Would there be a little bit less? What would that mean?
Well, right now, many of our students have considerable financial aid need, and per capita, we probably have a very high percentage of Pell qualified students. So going forward, we would, of course, we want to continue to make ourselves accessible to anybody who seeks a college education in Nebraska and beyond. But we also want to attract students here who would be able to also maybe afford to pay more of their education and not be as in need of as much financial support as others who are here or would come here. So we'd have a better balance. So there would be additional revenue from families who are in a position to pay more, such as we did with my daughter and son when we sent them to college. We paid a lot more of the tuition because we were able to. Whereas another kid in my daughter's or son's class who came from a family that couldn't afford as much had more scholarshiping. But if my daughter wasn't there, they wouldn't have had the additional income, to help offset the scholarship for the other student. So that's the logic here, is that when we go out and try to attract more students, we want to attract students who also have an ability to help keep our costs down, as well as who need help. And then the added attention to endowment building and scholarships will help grow that. So there'll be additional monies, there to help keep up as tuition rises normally, as it does in every college all the time. You want these scholarships, if they can, to be able to go along with them, so that you don't fall too far behind. It's very hard to do. It's hard to do today, let alone tomorrow. More students won't make that harder. Again, it'll give us different options, combinations of students who have a greater ability to pay for the cost of their education than we currently do.
When we return, Jacque Carter discusses his first stop day.